Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. I'm back with some more black and white coverage. For those of you that don't remember, I did post videos about each of my 4 first games for SPL, and I also went over the battles with teams and whatnot. Basically, everything from the start of preparation all the way through the game itself. So if you want to check those out, it'd be great. They're on the channel. They're also posted about in the black and white discussion thread. The week 1 and 2 videos already posted about. The week 3 and 4, I think I was in the middle of writing that post, but they're on the way. Just a bit of recap. Started off with a nice 4-0 start. Got a little fortunate against Solomon and Frania, perhaps, but definitely happy with how I'm playing so far. But week 5, this is the game we're going to be going over this time against Dice. Dice is a very strong opponent, a worthy adversary for sure, and someone who I didn't really know how to pinpoint down in preparation. See, Dice, unlike others, doesn't necessarily have a standard, or maybe has some Pokemon he frequents. For example, he uses things like Hippowdon and Zapdos more often than the average player in black and white, but truth be told, he deviates from the standard. He hates Chople Tyranitar, and his rain builds oftentimes frequent maybe less common Pokemon. For example, Scarf Politoed uses Gyarados a decent amount, and so on and so forth. In addition to this, there's a nice variety of both offensive and bulky teams that Dice is able to use, making it so that he's capable of using anything from Sunstall all the way to Weatherless offense, and I knew right off the bat I was going to have my hands full with him. Now, I figured that since Dice is vehemently against using Chople Berry Tyranitar, and I tend to use a lot of Psychic types, Alakazam and Latios in particular, but also I used Reuniclus with both of them the prior week, that I would see something like a Scarf Scizor or a bulky Jirachi, and because of that, I didn't want to necessarily rely on Psychic types for breaking too much. In fact, I didn't run Alakazam, Latios, Latias, Reuniclus, etc. I didn't run any of the Magic Guard or Psychic Spam type Pokemon. I did end up running a Celebi, which we'll get to in a bit, but that's far more defensive and utility-oriented Pokemon as an offensive Psychic. In fact, I kind of figured that he'd run like a Weatherless or a Rain with Scizor or Jirachi, basically. That's kind of what I was figuring. I didn't think he'd bring a Sand Team against me. In addition, I noticed he doesn't have many switch-ins to Mamoswine. Mamoswine was really my focus from the start. I did use Mamoswine previously in week 1, but despite that, I felt really confident using it. The thing with Mamoswine is it hits really hard. It has a great dual stab combination, and honestly, I just really like using it. I think that it's great at making progress in games, or even forcing progress in games, if you will. Coupled with the fact that it's a good win condition. Ice Shard is ridiculously threatening late in games due to abundance of faster Pokemon. Landorus T, Latios, Thundurus T, Garchomp, Tornadus that are weak to Ice Shard. Gliscor. Gliscor's not really fast, but you know what I mean, though. I don't know, it's just staring right at me right here in the build, so I'll not mention it. But yeah, so I also want to note that I'm always going to go through my team, but I'm not going to reveal the specific EVs in this team. I had a couple of spreads that I don't really want to give the specifics of to the public because people are going to creep me by 4 speed EVs, and it's going to be a pain in the ass, so we're going to avoid that this time. But with that said, let's get into the team building process. So again, Mamoswine was the focus here. It was hard for me to pinpoint Dice. I figured that if he would use a Rain, he doesn't like Keldeo as much as the next guy, really. So I thought it maybe like a Rain with like a Scarf Latios, although he isn't a huge Latios user, or maybe something like a Scarf Thundurus T, something he's used before. Celebi wouldn't shock me either. Tornadus as well to sub-protect set. So I knew Mamoswine's Ice Shard would be very valuable. Coupled with the fact that Earthquake clocks virtually everything else in these teams. I actually wanted to run a plus speed Mamoswine as well because I thought it would be decently likely that if he wasn't bringing the Rain, he'd bring something like a decently invested Dragonite or Jirachi speed-wise, potentially even a Heatran, and having plus speed on this can come in handy against those Pokemon, as well as opposing Mamoswine, which wasn't the easiest Pokemon for me to tackle myself either. So yeah. Now, there was a bit of a dilemma because I wanted to use Mamoswine, but I didn't want to fall back into a consistently used Rain or Sand structure. I felt that Dice would be manipulating my normal structures, potentially using something that could abuse them, like I don't know. I was thinking that Breloom would be a good pick from him because I've only used Celebi once and it was recently, so he didn't think I'd use it again. I also thought that a good bring from him would be something like a Subcombine Latias, or potentially just Skarmory. And as a general Pokemon, Skarmory spikes really well against me. Skarmory is a Pokemon that some of my teams struggle to break. So I actually decided that I felt that Mamoswine with leftovers, plus a couple of other things, could do well against like the Combine Latias, the Dragon Dance Dragonite type of Pokemon, specifically Sub Roost on both of those Pokemon. So moreover, I wanted to use this with a week 1 core that I used of Magnezone, which is always going to trap the Skarmory, and Excadrill. This always means that the field is cleared. It means I'm never having to worry about spikes. Magnezone can remove things like the aforementioned Skarmory, or even potentially Ferrothorn, whereas Excadrill can get their hazards off the field, while also being able to keep things like Subcombine Latias in check, being able to really take advantage of Sand teams as well, and it's just a good positioning Pokemon. Admittedly, there's some things you can't do with it, and things like Gliscor can be problematic, but with leftovers on Mamoswine and 3 other team slots, I felt that was going to be something that was worth the gamble. Moreover, he knew that I liked Gliscor a lot. In fact, I'd used multiple Gliscor up to this point already, which perhaps is unsurprising given how great of a Pokemon it is in the metagame. So I figured that he wouldn't be shocking if he used something like a Rain team that was really good against it, or a Sand team with something like Skarmory or his own Mamoswine. So because of this, and the fact that not only have I already used this core successfully, but also I felt that it was like really underrated due to the ability to soak up status. Milotic was actually my next team member on this team, and I didn't want to use Toxicon because I already had Toxicon Extra, which I'll get to in a minute, so I've had a haze on it. Just give me a last-ditch effort against Volcarona, but again, more on the specific sets later, but going through the process itself, Milotic was the next Pokemon. I was like, oh hey, I want to use this, so therefore I'm going to use it. Yeah, at that point I had a team that was pretty decent, but I had no ground immunity. I didn't have any form of speed control. In fact, my fastest Pokemon was Mamoswine and its Ice Shard, so that was something, but it wasn't everything. Ultimately, this coupled with the fact that I really wanted to have something to revenge kill Alakazam and again to get hit and run sort of Pokemon against Dragmag and more weatherless offensive teams, I didn't rely solely on Mamoswine for that in case I faced something like a Starmie or a Scarf Rotom Wash or a Shockberry Jirachi. It was nice to run Landorus T as a Scarfer as well. I felt it fit better than Garchomp because Garchomp didn't give me the ground immunity, coupled with the fact that I wasn't really expecting a Volcarona. I was pretty well off against Volcarona previously, and on top of that, it felt like something that Dice wouldn't necessarily risk when there are maybe more likely to hit risks, if you will, but I digress. So yeah, Landorus T was my Scarfer of choice there, and finally at this point, I noticed I was really weak to Breloom. I didn't like my match against 3-attack Thundurus, and I knew that Bolt Beam Thundurus would be covered by Mamoswine. Finally, also non-Signal Beam Alakazam, I felt really good, really kind of weak against, because Signal Beam means it's not carrying Grass Knot like it, so my Latican can wall it. So I wanted to run Celebi. I kind of felt like the combination of Celebi and Milotic is going to cover Alakazam, because Grass Knot plus Signal Beam is very unlikely, because they're both kind of secondary moves to Tyranitar. So if it's Grass Knot, I wall it with Celebi. If it's Signal Beam, I wall it with Milotic. Great. The combination of Celebi and Mamoswine is great against Thundurus T. If it's Nasty Plot, then the Mamoswine is going to handle the Bolt Beam. 3 attacks, Nasty Plot's very rare. If it's Agility, or if it's 3 attacks in any capacity, then I know for a fact that Celebi is going to be able to handle it, buying a lot of prior damage. It tanks 2 and power ices with ease. So yeah, that kind of core is great. Coupled with the fact that it gave me good answers to Rotom Wash, which was an annoying Pokemon with my triple ground plus my Milotic core, or things like Breloom, which I didn't really switch into too well at this point. So yeah, that was the idea there. Now let's go through the sets. We're actually just going to go in order of how I added them. So I always wanted to use Leftovers plus Speed Mamoswine. I alluded to that before. Leftovers is great longevity for things like the aforementioned Sub-Dragon and Dragonite, eating things like Crunch from Tyranitar, and who knows what else, like Hidden Power Ices from Thundurus T, or even chewing things like Earthquakes from defensive Landorus T and Drill. It can come in handy there. Being able to have that survivability goes a long way towards maximizing your chances to get Mamoswine in safely, and when you get Mamoswine in safely, all of a sudden it becomes a massive threat. As for plus speed versus Adamant, I have a track record of using almost strictly Adamant Mamoswine, so I figured that Dice would pick up on that, and if you want to bring Mamoswine of his own, maybe bring plus speed, but kind of creep me and then go some HP EVs, because Dice is a very crafty builder, so I just want max speed plus. It also gives me a jump on things like Sub-Dragon Dance, Dragonite's common sets, and all Gliscor, which again, Gliscor was a pretty problematic Pokemon to face in this team, so that came into play there, but that was kind of some... I didn't think he'd bring Gliscor, because... Sorry about that, excuse me. Gliscor is a Pokemon that Dice doesn't really use as much as someone like Solwind or myself does, but I still didn't want to be weak to it given how polarizing of an option it was, and therefore having something to really make sure I get revenge kill on it, because even an Adamant Ice Shard isn't killing Gliscor, keep that in mind, was nice, and also it outruns things like Adamant Gyarados, pretty much every single mixed Jirachi I don't see them going for 264 ever. Offensive Politoed barring Scarf was cool, and then bulky Thundurus too. So yeah, outrunning all those Pokemon was great. Also getting to jump on things like, I guess Adamant X-Drill was cool too, yeah, on this team in particular. Because Adamant X-Drill can really chew up Milotic, and Landorus T is not a great answer, so that was cool. Next up, I had a... Oh yeah, Magnezone was the next Pokemon. I wanted to run the classical balloon set. I'm not going to reveal my EV spread on it, if only because I had a certain amount of HP, a certain amount of potential defense investment, and also a certain number of speed investment. I will say I outran pretty much all Skarmory, Jellicent, and Zero Speed Landers, Zero Speed Heatran for sure. But I won't say how much more I went, if only because I just don't want to say that because people are going to creep me by 4 speed EVs or 12 speed EVs or whatever the hell it is. So yeah. but you can make of it what you will. Run whatever spread you want. The standard is max speed still, so yeah. But with that said, this is a set I've been using for a long time. And personally, I swear in my life, I came up with on my own during SPL8, and I feel that's what made it standard kind of circulate. And it was around like X-Drill talks for brewing still. X-Drill is kind of still development in the metagame, if you will, coupled with the fact that rain teams with Ferrothorn were more and more popular because we saw less Jirachi starting at that point. Kind of when Jirachi went from like an A+ Pokemon to like an A and then slowly A- because people noticed it enabled spikes, which wasn't great. Moreover, as an extension of that, being able to trap Ferrothorn and Rain without risking Worry Seed, which I guess was sort of common starting in SPL 8-9 times, and just letting it get up all the hazards layers was important. So this set, but yeah, so it could trap Scarf Drill always, which was a thing in its early stages, and it could trap things like regular Drill that's offensive if it doesn't get flinched out. You have Magnet Rise on the Iron Head, and yeah. In addition to that, Ferrothorn and Rain was huge. So yeah, it's kind of set up like since then. People have said that a million different people have come up with it. Someone said Solon came up with it. I don't know. I swear to God, I don't really give a crap about taking credit for sets. But I will say I've used it for a long time. The concept behind it makes sense. The theory behind it makes sense. It's a good set. It's now the standard set in black-white, and I'm happy to use it. So yeah. This team, it fit on it particularly because Rain wasn't great. Getting Rain out of this way was good. I had 4 Pokemon that didn't take Sand damage, including the Magnezone, so it didn't really mind deterring Sand. In fact, normally I let Sand keep up because it actually hurts Sand teams more than my team, but if Milotic is really needed in a matchup, or Celebi is really needed in a matchup, you know, taking that Sand away, also having that possibility is cool, and it really fucking demolishes the random Hail team that Jimmy Chartby used that 1 week. So if you Dice ever used that, because it was a Dice team, then hey, there we go. Next up, I had Drill to complete the core with Magnezone plus Drill. I pretty much never use Magnezone without Drill in this metagame. That's not a very popular opinion, I know, but it's the case here. So this was a Drill which it had some trade-offs. I wasn't able to hit things like Sub Thunderous T, Sub Dragonite, and pretty much Gliscor in general. But I was okay with that because Leftovers Mamoswine gives me some longevity against things like Sub Dragonite, as we discussed before, and it really demolishes Gliscor. So that was something I was okay with. In return, it gives me Protect for longevity and the ability to run Toxic, which not only means I don't feel I need to run Toxic on the Milotic, but also means I can cripple his beloved Powdon, his beloved Milotic. Potential for Slowbro, because Slowbro is a real thorn in the ass of this triple ground team. It really walls everything not named Magnezone, so getting Toxic off on that with Sub Mamoswine is like a win condition in that matchup. And also it puts a timer on things like Landorus T, which is really cool. And if you catch something like a Cresselia, that's great. It gives me an out against Sun teams. All of a sudden, you know, I catch Cresselia, catch Xatu. I can actually win that matchup despite being pretty lopsided. In Dices, no one used Sun. Now, Sun against me made 0 sense because I was super well prepared for it, like 3 out of 4 weeks. But you never know. Dice is someone to take risks, and I had to respect that possibility. So yeah, but the EV spread, I will say I ran some HP, I ran some attack, I ran some speed. Only thing I want to really publicly reveal is max special defense. Just being completely honest with you guys, run what you want. I will say there are a million different spreads Drill can make work, but this team really wants the special defense investment as it's the primary defensive steel type. It lets you take things like Alakazam, Focus Blast after spikes, easily tank things like Scarflatios, not to mention Speclatios. Draco is still going to be doing under 45% usually, which is pretty cool with my spread. This coupled with the fact you can switch into things like Road and Wash, and even Level Hydro Pump if you get it wrong, if it really comes to that, which hopefully it doesn't, but you know, you never know. It lives things like Focus Blast from Thunderous T, if it's agility 3 attacks, get a Toxic off, in case Celebi gets taken out early in the game. You know, the list goes on and on and on. Take Weakened Scalds, you could sit there and Stealth Rock Celebi, which is cool. Even tank a Life Orb hit from Offensive Trick Room Nicholas if it's running the Recover spread as well. So yeah, you never know. Drill is a crafty mother, you know what. Anyway, next up, I wanted to throw in the Milotic. Unlimited Team Milotic is a really underrated option in my eyes. Again, I touched on that more in my video in my game against Cayetano week 3, so check that out. But Milotic with Refresh is able to soak up that status so nicely. It really is able to displace a lot of offensive cores and make it so that they get scared of switching into Scald, but they also can't really break you super easily. With the right support, Milotic is super impressive. Being able to remove spikes in the field from it is optimal because Skarmory and Ferrothorn just sit there all day on it. In addition to that, being able to remove status with a Refresh. Again, things like Toxic users like Heatran aren't going to be able to do much to you. I ran a set without Ice Beam. I didn't mind losing outright to Dragonite and Gliscor. Again, I have the Mamoswine, and I didn't expect those Pokemon too much from him. And Haze was kind of a last-ditch effort against Volcarona, which kind of just demolished me. Also lets me scout out things like Dragonite and Latias sets, which is cool, I guess. And gives me an out against Reuniclus. I should beat Bolt Beam Reuniclus with the team always. You actually stall out the Hidden Power Ice PP pretty easily between Protect on Drill and Haze and the Mamoswine with the Leftovers. And once it runs out of HP XP, you actually are like totally good to like check it. I mean, because you can't hit, Thunder can't hit things like Mammal Swine, Excadrill, and Landorus T. So yeah, it goes without saying there. And even a +6 Thunder is not going to be doing enough to Celebi. So yeah, that helps too. What else? Team was pretty weak to Psychic plus Focus Blast or Reuniclus, but that helped against that too. So yeah, it was a good out. Sword Dance Garchomp, you could also like make sure it doesn't kill you, it'll be +2, which comes in handy there for full health or close to it, because Ice Shard, or if it's Yachi Berry. So yeah, I'm trying to think here. I think that's about all there is to it. Standard spread there. Next up, Scarf Landorus T. Again, not reveal my full spread. This bulk up with things like Tracheon, Living Ice Shards after Stealth Rock, a couple Dragonite hits, and a couple Breloom calcs in particular, but then the rest was between attack and speed. I also run some special attack. I won't say how much for hidden power ice rolls, particular scenarios. I will say I ran a lot of speed. I was enough to outrun a significant portion of the metagame, even at +1, of course. So yeah. I think that's all I got. Stone Edge was really important over this set. I didn't feel need to run Punishment. I think it's a sloppy move to run in general, built on teams that are super weak to Reuniclus and Carmine Latias, I guess. Although even then you take a million from Dragon Ball, so what's the point? Because it's allowed to be behind a sub if you're so weak to it. So yeah, mainly for Reuniclus, even then I think it's kind of poor. Stone Edge was great in this team because Tornadus I was something that Dice likes running. He also has some affinity for Zapdos, and I wouldn't be shocked to see like a ZF-esque Moltres squad from him either, so why not go for the Rogue Stone Edge there? And finally, wrapping off the team, wrapping the team up, I had Celebi. Celebi was there, again for Breloom, for Thunderous T, for Rotom Wash. Gives you a nice Stealth Rocker as well. It beats things like Tentacruel. Tentacruel's a huge problem for weatherless teams, between Refresh on Milotic, for Scald Burns against it, and this having Natural Cure plus Slow Baton Pass, it makes it so that it's not a nuisance. And yeah, I have 3 ground types and electric type, I get it, but none of them switch into Scald. So again, you gotta be smart, because Tentacle and Rain is one of the scariest things for weatherless teams, truth be told. So yeah, I think this about covers the team and the team building process and the preparation roughly. Let's get into the battle. Let me pause this for 1 second here. Testing, we there? I think we're good. Okay, so yeah, this is the game against Dice. Right off the bat, I see some things I wasn't really expecting in team preview, but again, it's Dice. This guy is one of the least predictable players, and he's great over a number of generations of OU. Yeah, we've played before, even. He's actually brought more standard teams against me, come to think of it. In like Smog and Stake Draft and past 2 SPLs, I beat him in all 3, thankfully, but I got lucky against him in one of our SPLs. He brought the wrong set in Snake, so like it's very small sample size. Obviously, Dice is just about as good as I'm in Black-White, just about as good as anyone is, honestly. He's an amazing player. But someone like at team preview, you're always gonna go, what am I gonna make of this? Is Dice. Like, he's that guy. So I didn't have any huge expectations, but seeing Volcarona was a little like, fuck. If it's Giga Drain or even Bug Gem, I might just be shit out of luck. That aside, though, I felt I didn't contain much. I was really shocked by how little he respected Psychic types. His team was demolished by Alakazam, and even things like Combined Latios, Offensive Trick Room Reuniclus, or even Combined Focus Blast Reuniclus were very hard for him to switch into, so I was a little bit surprised, but I knew he had the offensive presence to minimize the openings for these Pokemon. I guess it's just like my playstyle normally revolves around getting them in. For example, using things like Slow Turn Gliscor and Landorus T very often with those Pokemon, so little surprised, truth be told. I guess the initial reaction is kind of kicking myself from deviating from my standard. For example, if I just brought what I used against Solwind again, I would have been pretty well off, but that's okay. I think you kind of live and learn from these type of moments, and maybe that will help me in the future. But I also am like, if he doesn't have the wrong Volcarona set, not all is lost. This is a very winnable matchup. My Mamoswine does pretty well against him, and on top of that, I thought that he had to be Scarf Landorus T at preview, if only because, A, he really needs the Rotom Wash to be defensive on this team. Looking at it, it's his primary like durable water resist, if you will, because Latios isn't very durable water resist. And B, he can't be Scarf Latios because that's his only thing quicker than, like, say, Terrakion and Keldeo. And if he faces like Keldeo plus Tar or Tarak plus Tar, then he's gonna have to fodder a Pokemon literally every single time, and you don't want that. So I thought it had to be Specs plus another Scarfer, basically, or Dragon Gem plus another Scarfer. And it was between Landorus T and the Rotom Wash. It had to be Spindrill, so it wasn't going to be Scarf. That just wouldn't make much sense, relying on Spindrill to spin for a Volcarona team. No way in hell was he doing that. So ultimately, I was like, it's got to be Scarf Landorus T on this team, because Rotom Wash not only covers things offensively like Mamoswine and Drill, but also especially defensively like Scald switching in and things like Tornadus. And those Pokemon are really problematic for it. So that was kind of my initial hunch. Not to mention Heatran. If you're not hitting Power Ground on Volk, it's going to be a problem. So yeah. Other sets, I thought it was going to be Choice Spin Breloom right off the bat. It had to be. Quiver Dance 3 attacks, Volk, just a matter of what set. And I thought Stealth Rock on Drill because of Scarf Lander ST, but again, it could be Rock Scarf, or it could be Rock Lander ST and Scarf Road and Wash. I just wasn't expecting that too much. But Dice is someone who has different priorities, and he's also willing to take shortcuts, so I didn't really want to pin him down too hard, and I think that ended up kind of biting me, and you know what? So let's get into the game already. I want to lead Selby to get rocks up. He leads Volk. I'm like, well, already off to a problematic start, and it's because of Volk. So not too shocked there. He double straight and Wash, which is a great play, and I go Melodic. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He then clicks Trick and gives me a Scarf with my Celebi, so I switch that in. I'm like, well, this is very bad. This is very, 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 very bad. In fact, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to me in the history of time. So time has just completely come to a stop. The world is over. No, I'm kidding, but like this is still very bad. Losing the leftovers on it means that I don't have a switch into Breloom, I don't have a switch into the Road and Wash itself, and even getting like a slow baton pass against Drill can potentially come in handy as well. With my Magnezone set in particular. I was dismayed to see this. Because now I'm like, well, I know it's a Rock Slender's team just to spin Drill now, but like, that's still a problem for me. Because I don't have this Celebi, and now I can never ever get rocks up against a Volcarona team. Because every time I get rocks, he just brings the Drill in and just clicks Rapid Spin. And there's nothing I can do to stop that. Especially because Drill's probably EV outrun my Magnezone. In fact, it always is because my Magnezone's always slower than Drill. With this EV spread, meaning I can't ever trap it. So like, crap. So I didn't feel great about the matchup because of Volcarona, so therefore I put myself in a little risk-taking position, and I didn't hypothesize the sets correctly. Do I think that his team would be better with defensive Road and Wash? Maybe, but does that matter? No, obviously it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think in my idealized, stupid-ass Black White head. It matters what he brought, and Dice brought this, and it's going to kick me in the ass now. All of a sudden, I'm without what might be my most valuable defensive crutch in this game. Essentially. Obviously it's alive, and it's at full health, but it's locked into a move. And it's able to, every single move is able to be manipulated completely. So, I'm in a hole. And what makes matters worse is Dice is not screwing around in this game. He volts on the rock, gets in Breloom knowing I'm locking them, and all of a sudden, Bullet Seed, it kind of picks me apart. Magnezone's my least useful Pokemon going into the matchup because, again, Drills is only Steel type and I'm slower than it. So I'm okay with that. Thankfully, he only gets 2 hits, so I actually scare him out here, which is cool. And I get a nice hidden power into Lander's T, I believe, for a nice 31%, I think. 30%, yeah. And that brings him down to 64, which is helpful, but he's coming out shooting. He predicts me to go Mamoswine, goes for the Earthquake, does 57. And I'm like, okay. Way more damage than I'd like to take. So I want to scare this Pokemon out, though. I know I'm quicker, he's leftovers. I go for the Ice School Crash, and he goes Road and Wash. And this is what really fucks with me. It was like a physically defensive Scarf Road and Wash. And not only that, but if you see leftovers, I'm quicker than it. So it's like a slow Scarf physically defensive Road and Wash. So not only does he get the damn trick off on the Celebi, but all of a sudden my fucking Mamoswine's like not very useful. And I'm kind of pressing at this point. Like I'm 4-0. It's fine. I think I'm playing pretty damn well. But this is not a good start. This is a dire start for me. I have to get my shit together. I gotta start making the plays. I gotta start thinking, what's the way to win this game? So I'm thinking about it here. I'm like, okay, rocks are up right now. I can't let the Drill in too easily without punching him in some capacity. I need to play aggressive, and maybe I need to find openings against this Road and Wash. A good opening would be if he clicks Volt Switch predicting the Celebi, or Will is predicting the Celebi. I can click sub on that and maybe try and chip him down. I know my leftovers make him quicker. He doesn't know that. He might be scared. I don't know. I click sub, and he calls me. He clicks Hydro Pump. Dice is just making all the right plays. And now, that insults injury. He knows I'm not going to sub again, so I'm already pretty low. Man volts into the Celebi, and I'm like, well, I just gave the Drill the opening, and he's just completely, thoroughly outplaying me. I don't keep rocks up now. Like, how am I going to find my way out of this? I baton pass here, and I get my Lodic and just safe play. He spins, which is fine, but I'm like, okay, damn it. I really need to get this Road and Wash weekend. And now, Dice makes what, in my opinion, was a huge misplay. He goes to Road and Wash, because if Road and Wash takes the burn, like, he's still in a huge doghouse against Mamoswine. All of a sudden, all he's got is the Volcarona. And if the Volcarona isn't Giga Drain, Volcarona can't actually really beat my Lodic. So I'm Haze. So that's rough. But I didn't get the burn. I feel like Latios and his team look super expandable in this game. It's not needed to check anything defensively. It's just there to nuke. It would scare me out with the prospect of Combine or Trick. And I can go Drill there, and he can take advantage of Drill with Lander's T or his Breloom, and that's a huge opening for him. So I'm shocked he went Road and Wash here, and I really wish I got the burn. But to make matters worse, I go for the burn again. He goes for Wisp, and I don't get it, so that's unfortunate there. At this point, I think I predict the Volt Switch, and I just recover up. And he risks the Breloom as I recover, and it's just a really great play. Now I feel like I'm just not only getting outplayed, but I'm like, damn, I wish I got something there. Didn't get it, so I'm like kind of pressing again. And I kind of come to acceptance of the fact that this isn't a good position. I need to find a way to work my way out of it. I think I just hard baton pass here against the drill. I get my Lodic back in. I want to threaten that Skull Burn, so if I get a Skull Burn, I see a win path. He goes Rotom Wash again. No burn this time. It does crit though, but that doesn't really help because he's got Pain Split, so I'm like thinking to myself, okay. Now he Hydras, predicting the Mammothine or the drill, I guess. I recover that up, so it was a good play on my end. I do get leftovers, I do take burn, but I'm all the way up to full health now. He goes Volt Switch this time around. Now I'm going to take the Scald Burn, I guess, finally. Now he goes Bloom and I'll recover. I'm like, okay, this is just going to keep happening, isn't it? It's kind of funny, but it's fine. At this point, I just bin this LOE. He gets like a second hit crit, which wouldn't matter if he hits 3 times anyway, so I digress. It obviously didn't matter. Now I get Mammothine in, and he goes Volk, and now this is huge for me because I get 35% chip on this, and I'm getting to the point where Ice Shard actually can like plausibly sweep. Like, think about this. Ice Shard kills the Latias after a little chip, kills the Volcarona after maybe another 50% damage. Drill slower dies. Landorus T slower dies. Rotom Wash 38%, so 2 it killed. And Mammothine slower and dies unless it Mach Punch locks. So that's pretty big for me. But now I bring in this and he goes Fire Blast, does 87. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But now he stays in on the U-turn. And this is a play I'll never understand. Because he has a full health ass Balloon there. And the only thing that's really out of his range right now is Ice Shard. And Ice Shard is gonna, he gets to lock into Mach Punch for it to matter, and with locking into Mach Punch with Landorus, my Lodic being burnt, it's only gonna do like 25-30% to it. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel it's like worth it for him. I feel like going Balloon there was better, because if I click Earthquake there, then I kill the Volk, and then all of a sudden Mammothine kind of ravages through his team. But I guess Dice was thinking more offensively. He thought I wanted to get a step ahead of the game. It turns out that he can't really break the Milotic with this set anyway. So what was once a worrisome thing was no longer. He switches out there after he misses Fire Blast. But like, I haven't gotten 4 burns, so like, good for me, I guess. Anyway, now I go Drill on the Draco. I get that right. And I think at this point, I called Landorus T, but I don't want to risk going to Mammothine on the double, so I just go for Toxic, and I get Landorus T right. So I'm like, okay, that's fine by me here. I get the Toxic there, yup. And I think I gotta kind of make an awkward play here. I think I go Milotic on a U-turn, or go Landorus T on a U-turn. He goes Rocks. I should have spun. That would have been kind of badass, but I was scared he might Earthquake, so I digress. Anyway, he goes Volk on a U-turn. He goes Volk on a Hidden Power Ice this time. Like, okay. Man just doesn't care about Volk, but that's fine with me. And he goes for a Fire Blast again. It does 20-something, and I'm like, okay, I just heal that off. No big deal there, no big deal there. And now he goes Breloom. I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing. I'm going to go ahead and let go of the Magnezone, but like, in theory, I could actually like work my way around this Breloom with a Scald Burn, because he keeps risking it in Rotom Wash, and if I burn either, that's a huge positional advantage for me. So he Bullet Seed locks. I get Mammothine in once more, and now I just go for the Ice Skull Crash here, knowing he's probably just going to fight a Volt because he's been binning it all game. And yeah, Ice Shard, he's going to kill after Ice Skull Crash. 2 leftovers turns, that's nice, and back up to almost half health, which is cool. And at this point he goes Latios. I'm like, okay. Now this is a big turn because he can Draco, it's free. It doesn't 2-hit kill drill, but it would put me into 2-hit kill range next time he comes in, if that makes sense. Because of -2 cascading. Even Dragon Pulse would have been fine for him if he had it, but he surfs. I predict the surf because I think he's going to get greedy and predict drill. I get that right with my Lodic, so in a situation where I almost always lose a Pokemon or a significant chunk of Pokemon, I lose nothing. That's big. Now here, he goes Balloon as I recover, because I want to be able to get a burn on him the next time he comes to it, and then live a Bullet Seed, and I couldn't from that range, so that was important. Now I just let go to Landorus T. I get the Intimidate, which doesn't matter at all, because I'm going to go Mammothine to threaten it out anyway, and we're kind of just trading back and forth at this point. So yeah, at this point, I think he fires off his Landorus T to an ISO Crash. Yeah, that he does. That's fine with me, though. Again, that's really fine with me. He goes Latios again, and again, I call the Surf, and I get it right. I feel like Draco was the play from him always, but I'll take it. I kind of had to, given how far behind I was. So now I'm in the game, because he Surfs again, which I didn't understand. I guess he predicted me to double back to Mammothine, predicting the Breloom, but if you look at it, the Breloom's at 94. It always lives a Jolly Ice Shard, and at this point he knows my nature given all the damage I did. So I feel like that was a clicky move, but I'm just clinging on to hope, and I got it. So now I have a free opportunity to Scald here, and he goes Breloom, risking it. I don't know why. If he fought it off his drill, he was fine, but I get the burn, and now there's a chance. I feel like Dice choke there, just being completely honest. And now I can just spam recover because I got Marvel Scale, which is huge for me. But I'm still not out of the doghouse. I need to find a way to parlay this into Mammothine winning, and the Rotom Wash is healthy. This is where I really wish I got the burn on it before. I did get the burn on this balloon. 1 out of 5. You know, I'll take what I can get, you know. So yeah, he goes Rotom Wash here, and I recover. I'm like, okay, that's fine by me, I think. Here he volts. I kind of wish I went I kind of wish I went Drill here, because I probably could live the Hydro because he's so defensive, but I don't think it would have changed a ton, in all honesty. So yeah, now he goes Latios here. I'm like, okay. I go back to Drill, predicting Draco or Trick this time, and he goes for the Trick, and like, okay, that's totally fine with me. He does get leftovers, which is annoying, but I can go ahead and live the Surf now, and I can just Earthquake him, and that'll put him in the Shard range. So things are happening. This is pretty big. Surf does take me out, which is fine with me anyway. I go Mamoswine now, knowing Ice Shard is going to kill it, and he goes Drill on the Shard, which is fine by me because I know he's slower than me. I get another turn of leftovers if that really matters. It doesn't because I don't have enough for 2 substitutes anyway. You know, he goes Rotom Wash and an Earthquake, which I think was crazy ballsy because, like, what if I sub-predicting that? But it worked. So now the game is kind of going to be decided by the next sequence here. I go my Latic here and a Hydro if I'm trying to, like, just cling on to some semblance of, like, winning potential. But it's just going to be too little too late to not win with Mamoswine because Volt Switch is still doing 43. I recover up, and now he can kill me with Draco, and that's fine because he's still in Ice Shard range. I take the leftovers after the rocks, and now I'm able to basically put myself in a position where, okay, so Ice Crash is doing 25. I have a chance to sub. I know I'm quicker, so if he misses 1 of 2 Hydro Pumps, then I have a decent chance of winning, but if he hits both, the game's over. At this point, given that I didn't get the Scald Burns, the combination of getting one of those burns coupled with the fact that this, like, I thought the game was, like, basically even, considering that he also missed the Fire Blast before. You know, whatever way it goes, it goes. But given how much of a hole I was in earlier in the game, I was actually okay with this. Like, I'm not favored here, and overall, Dice played a really amazing game. Besides, I think he kind of didn't get enough out of the Volcarona. Even if it couldn't touch my Latic, it could have been used to check Mamoswine in here, instead of risking, like, sub-Hydro Pump misses. But either way, I felt pretty good about this. I was just like, you know, odds are odds. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it does. We'll have to wait and see. So I sub here. He hits Hydro Pump. And then I think I go for the flinch next turn because flinch was, yeah, it's basically my only chance here. And I miss. And that's fine. Dice played a good game. I don't think I played a bad game here, honestly. I misread the sets at the start, and I think the sets really could have won either way. I think this one left him vulnerable to some stuff. I left him vulnerable to some stuff. That's fine. And he was better. He brought something I didn't expect. And that's all the massive props to Dice. Good game, well played. I'm down to 4-1. I don't remember what he was at this point. But yeah, no, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to continue to bring the rest of my Black White games soon. Hope you guys enjoyed. Alright, later guys. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, bye.